Welcome to another edition of Barbershop Theory. I'm your host, Jimmy Evans, and I'm here today with a special guest, my friend, my colleague, professional, Mr. William Grant.
Hey, how you doing there, sir?
How are you today, young man?
Doing well.
I appreciate you taking a little time out.
Yes, sir.
We got a special connection here.
Yep.
We've been knowing each other, what now? 20 years, 20 plus years?
20 plus years, man.
And so, it's good to share a nice old fashioned with you.
Yes, sir.
Dram and drop. We got a nice piece of ambiance, nice space, nice comfortable space.
Yeah, make me feel special, man. Make me feel like I'm somebody.
All right,
you know
so I'm trying to combine the barbershop and the bar. That's two spaces where men feel most comfortable, right?
Nice.
And so today, I want to get a little bit more information about your journey to become a barber.
Well, first of all, again, Jim, I want to thank you again. We've always been, connected for like I said, 20 plus years. This is going to be kind of fun because this is going to be my first time really interviewing myself on solo. I'm usually used to with the crew. Usually with my partner in crime, Maestro, you know what I'm saying? But
shout out to Maestro.
Shout out to Maestro from our podcast. But so this is fun. I'm looking forward to it. But a little bit about me. Man, we'll be here all day. But I guess if I say I started cutting hair, I've been cutting hair since '94. I currently am the director and lead instructor for the barbering program at Wake Tech Community College. Thank you, sir. My son is 14 now, so I've been out there for about 15 years now. Well, about 16 years actually. When I first got out there, I was teaching a barber instructors program first. And then while I was waiting on the facility to be built. And so, but leading up to my journey to leading to the school, along the way, I went and got my nail license, massage license. So I kind of did everything from head to toe. So it's so interesting when I see, the industry in the past, 10 plus years now, they finally accepting the more upscale services in the shop. Because I was doing that back in the 90s, back when they was making like,
Say more about that because I did not know that about you. You've done your nail tech, massage therapist, master barber, barber instructor, and now barber board member.
And former barber inspector first.
And former barber inspector.
Yeah.
Hold on, I never catch my breath. That's a lot being said.
Hey, it's a lot on there. It's always been.
No.
Yeah,
good job, sir. Listen,
appreciate you.
That gives us a lot as master barbers and barbershop owners. Also
shop owner as well. Yep.
So you have a lot of accolades behind your name, right? One thing that I have always struggled with is watching barbershops operate out of rivalry.
Yeah.
Not just barbershops, but inter-rival barbershops.
Inside within the shop.
Within the shop.
Yeah.
Like it used to be a thing with owning my first shop. It was a 3-chair barbershop. You remember that one off of Lewisburg Road. It was me, 2 other guys. We had a really good group of guys working.
Right.
There was no inner barbershop rivalry. Your clients were your clients.
Right.
There was a mutual respect.
Which I'm gonna tell you, that's very unique when you get those situations. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very unique.
So, in which 3 at that time was the perfect size for me.
Yeah.
Right. Because you knew who, as a first-time shop owner, I was able to have the advantage of picking my coworkers, because I used to hate saying employees.
Right.
I used to,
co-worker, teammates,
my teammates, my coworkers, and Steve Abraham and Tawan Borkins. Shout out to both of those young men. They were great people to work with. Moving forward, I said, man, we're doing good over here. We're making a little money. There's another location.
Let's go and expand this thing.
Let's go and expand this thing.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get me six barbers.
That's when it's going downhill. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh my God.
That was going down. I already know it's going downhill.
Learning how to manage myself and 2 other people.
Yeah.
I was really good at that.
Right.
But when I got into 4 or 5 and 6 other people in the shop, I didn't realize it was then about managing personalities.
Right. And I guess it's really happening with the 3 as well, but it's just a little more control. It's funny because I was having a conversation with someone, another barber as well. It's been a while ago now, but we used to always talk about like the ideal amount of barbers in shops, stuff like that. And it was always, and I even tell this to students as well, it's like when you start going past that 3 barbers, that's when you start dealing, because now you got to deal with more personalities, different issues, things of that nature. But that 3 seemed to be the magic number. Even when I was an inspector, the shops that always had like the best energy, the best vibe, the best chemistry was always like 3 and under. You know, when you start getting into that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I ain't even gonna imagine you mess around and have a 10 to 15 chair shop.
The energy changes.
The energies, a lot of the personalities. And I think it's easier when you start talking about that 3 and under, it's easier to build that community and that kind of I think it's easier to bond, like that family bond. We've got a few people, That's the magic number though.
So with that being said, at 3 barbers, we did have that, right? You know, each individual, if your client came in a hurry, or if your coworker's client came in, it's like, man, I can't get to him today. I would respectfully decline that offer because we don't step on toes in here.
Right.
You know, we have a common rule of respect for one another, that we don't step on each other's clients like that.
Well, you think about it, with 3 people, and now you put it that way, you start talking about bringing your clients in. With 3 people, it's less of a chance for you to be able to customize there, because you're gonna probably be just as busy versus if you had a 4, 5, 6 chair, you can probably go to somebody else. But if it's 3 people, everybody's probably already got their customers. It's gonna be hard to get somebody in there. And I used to tell customers all the time, or at least barbers, I would tell them like, look, I'll tell your customers when they get in here, you know, just hold on. He'll be here. He'll be here shortly.
Yes.
Just hold on. Just give him that respect.
Have you called your barber to let him know that you're here waiting?
Right.
You know, give them all the leeway for their barber to be able to maintain their haircut and to keep their relationship solid, because then you start having that, man, you mess with my clients, or you cutting my clients, or you know, trying to eat off of the clientele that's inside the shop. Man, we got 10,000 people a month moving to North Carolina. You can't tell me that you got 5 to 10 people that you can go every day and give a car to that you never met.
Right.
I was listening to something that you said on one of your other podcasts about being a lazy barber.
Oh, yeah.
That to me goes into that category, is you're not willing to advertise yourself and go out into these streets and market your business, or have the confidence to walk up to somebody and say, hey man, you know, I just started cutting hair over here. I've been cutting hair over here for the last 5 years. See, you might need a haircut. I don't know if you got a barber or not. I don't know, call.
Classic.
That professionalism of marketing yourself. But then when you get into the larger barbershops, the 6 people, we had scenarios when I opened up a larger barbershop, man, where I like to broach the conversation of shop killers. And when I say shop killers, people that come into your shop looking to disrupt.
That happens.
The flow of, you know, a great barbershop energy.
Yeah.
I had a guy, I'm not gonna say any names.
We leave him nameless.
But he would literally mess up people's hairline if he didn't like their personality.
Wow.
Now, I had 6 other guys working in there with me at that time. And I asked them, I said, did y'all know about this? And they laughed about it. It was like, yeah, man, we knew about it. And I had to explain to them the business dynamic that disrupts this for them. I said, because when one person messes up in a barbershop, they don't call that one person's name. They say, headquarters barbershop.
It's messed.
This barbershop.
They mess hair because they tear hairlines.
They tear hairlines up over there.
Yeah.
That affects us all.
Yeah.
That name or that reputation get out in the street, then you're affecting the entire shop. So one person's action can really tear down the reputation of one barbershop.
Yeah.
How do you, with barber students, get them to understand when you leave barber school and you have your apprentice license, apprentice license.
Right.
When you walk into another person's business, you are not a business owner. You are a business owner employee.
Right. You're an entrepreneur. That's what I try to tell them.
I like that.
But I try to tell them. Well, to that point, I try to stress to one thing that we talk about in our program is we like to we point out to the students. We say that we got the 80-20 rule. 80% of it is customer service. 20% of it is actually skills, right? Because we all know those barbers that you had that one barber in the shop that we know they tearing them heads, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But they have excellent customer service and they got clientele.
Yeah, because they
right?
come back.
But and so to answer your question, one of the things that we stress to them all the way through the entire program, by them knowing that from day one, that I'm big on customer service, so I stress that. But then again, I always like to use that analogy of the 80-20 rule to remember that 80% of it is going to be customer service. 20% of it is going to be technique. If you're good, that's even better. That's like icing on the cake. But if you don't got no customer service, you can be the best barber, but I guarantee that customer is just only with you for a moment till they could find somebody who's going to treat them like they want to be treated. So, so the one of the things to answer your question, that'll be we have them again by the 80-20 rule. We do. Because we're fortunate to be with the community college, we have a collaboration with our career services.
Okay.
And so we also go over talking about soft skills, because all that stuff falls in soft skills and how to, to be able how to, know your niche, but how to pitch yourself as well. So we'll do, of course, role playing in school as well, where customers come in.
Give me an example of a role play scenario that y'all go through in school.
So I'll have it where they have to, after it's a process, right? So we'll have them first introduce them on how to properly pitch yourself, right? How to do an elevator pitch. So we give them the fundamentals on how to do elevator pitch. Of course, we'll practice it in class together, and then to help for them to continue practicing, we would have it when customers come in, we'll randomly pick a student, be like, all right, go pitch yourself to this customer, and so then I have to go over and give their pitch, see how the customer reacts to it, and then that's the way we kind of practice. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you another scenario. How do you help them understand conflict resolution in not just with a client, but inside the barbershop with your coworkers?
Until a fight happened, I'll be stopped.
Until the fight break out,
like,
go inside.
No, so the conflict resolution, obviously, now our program for our full-time and our part-time, for our full-time is like 14 months, it's basically a year. You with people, right? So obviously there's gonna be some conflicts before a year is over when you got people together a whole year to get tired of each other. I always say you're gonna fall out of love with one another, but you'll be back in love again with each other when you're ready to graduate.
That's right.
But so there's gonna be conflict. We do it by way of sharing stories, personal experience. That's why it's very important for a school that you have somebody that's seasoned enough that has some experience, but we give through personal stories, scenarios, personal scenarios. Hopefully, we don't have too many incidents when customers coming in, but we lead by example on how we will handle, because we do a lot of events, so pop-up events and stuff like that, dealing with the homeless and some of the less fortunate and things like that. And then you have people who will be funny acting, be picky, or those situations, those scenarios. So a lot of times we like to lead by example and showing them how to deal with that situation. Yes. That's why we like going out and doing events to the public, so they can get those experiences.
That's real.
That's real in the moment, and they know how to catch them, like relax. You know what I'm saying? And how to deal with that, because it's going to happen.
Okay, good deal.
Because you deal with the public, we already let them know you still providing a service for the public. So you're dealing with the public, incidents are going to happen.
Okay, so coming from, let's switch your hats.
Now, we'll tell you a story though.
Okay.
Speaking of conflict, one of the stories I love telling in my classes, and I know we got to move on, but I just thought about it. I just told this story last week about one of my classmates, because we were just talking about communication. We in that section right now about how to properly communicate with your customers and stuff like that. And so I always like to joke with them and tell them the story about how one of my classmates, when he got out, he got into the shop. When he got into the shop, he had a customer didn't like the haircut. Customer told him he didn't like the haircut. He told the customer, this is what you wanted. The customer said, no, this is not what I asked for. They went back and forth. Before I know, my man beat him down with a pair of Andes, man. And for those that don't know what Andes, I'm talking about the old school quarter Andes.
The heavy quarter.
The heavy quarter, beat the brakes off of him. You know what I'm saying? In the shop. Lost his license, man.
Well, that's a good
He
reason.
lost his license.
Lost
He wasn't even out no more than 6 months. So I kind of used that story to kind of remind him, like, you got to keep, at the end of the day, your license is a privilege. I know this is going to probably lead to a board question, but your license still is like a driver license. Your license is a privilege. So
that's right.
And you need to treat it that, you need to treat it as if it's like a driver.
Okay,
license.
so let's stay right there for a second. So, what's the worst haircut you've ever put out as a barber?
Worst haircut. Every last one of them stopped. Worst haircut. So with that being said, I had to take it all the way back to, I was one of the barbers where I was totally green when I started school. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't like, had no prior experience, as we call them in our program, we call them bootleggers. I wasn't a bootlegger before I got to school.
Okay, I was.
So I was, you say you was a bootlegger, you take a sip, there you go, yeah. So I wasn't a bootlegger. I was, I was totally green. My whole story is I used to run from haircuts, and I always joke. I tell the students I ran as much as I could run until I ran the shop. I couldn't run no more. Right?
Okay.
But probably the worst haircuts, because it's been so long now, and I try to block it out. But it's the classic, chasing your line. A fade was to be starting here in the middle. By the time I got done with it, it's at the top of the head. That kind of story.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
how did your client?
One specific one.
But how'd your client handle that?
Well, I was fortunate. I wasn't always Mr. Graham. And I did right out of high school.
Okay.
So I was young, I'm not what you see today. I used to wear Tim's, caps, so a lot of times I was straight from New York at the time. So I got kind of fortunate being 6'4", being from New York. There might have been some haircuts they didn't like.
I'm good with it,
like, yeah. When they come back, they're like, I'm going to him next time. Like, yeah, what you
I'm good, homie. I appreciate you, though.
So I've been fortunate that I never found myself in a situation where they would spaz out like that in the shop, right? I've seen it done. I've seen it happen. But it didn't necessarily happen to me because I guess they didn't know what might happen if they did. So they just wouldn't come back to me. That's all.
I had my shout out to my mentor, Mr. Richard Bowden. He was at Jones Barbershop.
Classic. Shout out to Jones.
Jones Barbershop. Classic space, man. He was also my instructor at Sherrill's.
Oh, wow. So you went to Sherrill's?
Actually, he was an instructor at Sherrill's. I went to Sherrill's. He went to Harris.
Okay.
And he was also an instructor at Harris also. So Richard is like an icon in this business.
Yes, sir.
The best mentor I've ever had. When you're talking about the white jacket, hard bottom shoes, a pair of slacks every day, clean cut. He was the premier prototype of what a barber's 6'4", towering figure when you walk into the barbershop. How's everybody doing? Come on in, have a seat. That classic barber. Yeah. So that was one of my favorite people in the world. He gave me my first job, but in Jones Barbershop was my worst haircut ever. Awesome.
You still remember it?
Oh man, to this day. I had a guy come in and he had a high top fade. Probably 3 to 6 months of me being in the shop. And he sat down, I said, hey man, how you doing? What can I do for you today? Boom, 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 chop it up a little bit. Okay, we'll fade it back out, just cut it on down. You want me to cut it on down? Yeah, cut it on down. Just cut it on down. One more time. You want me to cut it on down?
Students, that's a lesson right there. When you start hesitating, asking more than one question, just say no. Just so you don't know how to do. Pass it off.
Now I knew how to cut the. Okay. But what I heard him say was, cut this high top off my head. Okay. Right down the middle. Oh my God, what did you do? You told me to cut it on down.
Right.
I asked you 3 times, do you want me to cut it? Are you sure you want me to cut it down?
You asked him.
But communication in that moment, I probably should have asked a few more questions. Do you want me to cut your high top fade down, or do you want me to cut it down to a brush cut?
Yeah, how much you want to take off.
Yeah, and so like I said, to students, to other barbers, communication is very key in that space. That led to my worst. I felt bad. I knew I could have cut the head that he wanted.
Right.
But my lack of communication skills at that moment led to that bad haircut.
So I have one, but it's not a haircut though. It was a shave situation.
Okay.
So that I can tell you that I remember, and I always share this with with all my classes. But it was and I always tell the story coming from the message of knowing the art of saying no when to say no, right? If you can't do something, just say you can't.
Just say you can't do it.
And customers will respect you if you just say no, right? A lot of times I think as creators and creatives and artists, we don't ever want to say no. We want to always we want to tackle.
We don't want that feeling of failure,
or that we can't do.
We can't do something.
Right.
Correct.
And so I was about NC State on Western Boulevard. Under Mr. Rudy McCoy, as well as Willie Bridges. Yep, that was my that was my first shot.
He was also one of our instructors at Cheryl's.
He went back.
Shout out to Rudy McCoy.
McCoy, that's my mentor.
Listen, he used to always say to us, Mr. Evans, let me tell you something. You don't want to draw too much attention to yourself, baby. You know. Just
smooth as could be.
Smooth as silk, man.
Smooth as could be.
Another great mentor, great barber.
Yep.
But he gave us a lot of lessons. I'm sorry.
And he had dual license, so he had a barber and cause.
That's right.
So he was one of my mentors. He gave me my first shot. You know, him and Willie Bridges. They used to be off of. Used to own Hair Masters. Used to be called back in the day. And then Western Boulevard. Yep. And so we was by NC State, right? So NC State gonna be the college students and all that fun stuff. And so it wound up being a situation where. Client came in. Matter of fact, his dad was bringing him because he was doing the whole. I want to shave him. I want to get a shave for his rite of passage of coming out of college.
Okay.
So he wanted to do a shave. Now, mind you, at this point, I might have been out of school. At that point, maybe I might have been in my first year. But I ain't picked the razor up because we talking about the '90s. Everybody was scared of the razor shave. We weren't doing all the razor outlines we do today. So once you got out of school, you wasn't really using your razor no more. You just until it's time to take your exam.
That's right.
And so I had tossed that razor. I ain't used it whatever in a minute. And so the customer came in. I ain't like I had a whole lot of customers anyway. So anybody that said they want to get the chair, I'm gonna take them. So come on, I got it. So he's like, hey, my son want to get a shave. You mind shaving him? And it's just rite of passage getting out of college. I said, sure, I got him. I do him. I ain't picked that razor up, looked at how to do the steps, no nothing, man. I'll never forget it, man. I slapped that shaving cream on there, pulled that blade out. I ain't pre-softened the skin and nothing. I just put the shaving cream on, grabbed the razor. No hot towel, no nothing. I just put the shaving cream on, and I'll never forget that first stroke. It was like his whole face lit up like a Christmas tree, just like blood everywhere. I was like, God. So now I'm trying to play it off because I'm thinking,
Yo, you good?
The dad's over there, so I'm trying to spin the chair around. Only thing I can remember is like, if I do a cold towel, it'll slow down the bleed a little bit. So I'm like moving the chair around. Towels are looking pink because it's just
blood and water.
Man, you talking about somebody screaming? I sweat these anyway, so I'm up there sweating, trying to be cool. I'm up there trying to. Man, I lit that kid up there. And then I had to just take pure alcohol. It's back when we were cutting pure.
No! And he took off running.
Yes, sir. Pa said, how was it? He told me,
I'll never do it again. I hate this place.
Man, I said, boy, I was scared to death. Man,
but that's the experiences that other young barbers need to learn from, like and understanding, how to step into that space, right?
Right.
Okay, so we can talk about that forever.
All day.
As many hats as you have on as a director of a barber school, right? How has that impacted you from when you saw Harris as a student to now you as the director of Wake Tech Barber Program?
So shout out to Harris Barber College, definitely for sure. So a lot of, believe it or not, some of the fundamental things I actually got inspiration from Harris. Even always like certain detail, like even the layout of our facility was inspired by Harris. Like the whole, like the instructor's office has the windows so I could see the floor.
Mr. Tobias.
Mr. Tobias. And I came with Mr. Tobias as well as Mr. Stone, Reverend Stone.
Reverend Stone.
So I was,
Shout out to Mr. Reverend Stone, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And so I took that, also was inspired by the shirt and tie. That came from Harris. That was actually a funny story. That shirt and tie was implemented after I graduated. So prior to that, you can wear plain clothes or whatever. And then that's when they, Reverend Stone and Mr. Tobias switched roles, and Mr. Tobias started leading the program. So he used to say all the time, "I'm gonna get you jokers out." He used the other choice words, but he's like,
"Jokers."
I'm gonna use. We're gonna use that word, but he was like, "I'm gonna wait till you jokers get up out of here before." He said, I'm gonna bring AC in here, wear shirt and ties, I'm gonna get you jokers up out of here. Y'all get out of my school. You know what I'm saying?
But it gave some professionalism.
But it gave us some professionalism.
Yeah.
And that was, and when I came back, like within that year after I got out and I came back, he was like, he looked at me like, yeah, I'm seeing, seeing the shirt and ties. So I thought that was so, even though I didn't do, when I went to school, it wasn't required, but I just thought that was so cool because it helped set the standards of professionalism. And so
when I was at Sherrills, that was one of the things that Miss Short implemented as well, was shirt and ties. Now, as soon as I got in the shop, I went straight back to jeans and t-shirts.
Along with your jeans, all the shirt and ties, I always tell my students it's like bowling. I said, I know y'all gonna take your shirt and ties, everything, and just dump it under your back stand or in your trunk.
But until you realize what that brings to your business.
Yeah.
Because as an employee,
yeah,
you're looking at it, I'm gonna be comfortable.
Right.
But once you become an employer, then you look at the professionalism and the atmosphere of your establishment. Right. What were some of the things that you talk to your students about as far as when they come out of barber school into being an apprentice barber, how they conduct themselves to the owner of that shop? Because a lot of kids come out. I came out with a very skewed version of who I am inside of somebody else's business, right? And I went in and I was thinking, I got my own business. I pay for this chair. I got this right here.
I'm my own boss.
I'm my own boss.
Yeah.
And one of the other barbers like, hey, Jimmy, man, you ain't took the trash out of here, And I was like, I flipped on him. Who are you? You ain't the owner. Who are you to tell me what I need to do in this particular situation?
Right.
He was a little more seasoned barber, but coming out of barber school, I'm my own boss. I'll take care of this right here, but not realizing, again, I'm taking care of the whole shop, the reputation of the shop.
Right.
So can you speak to that? How the younger barbers need to understand when they step into an establishment, even though they're paying booth rent, they don't have a lease, they don't have a light bill, they don't have a cable bill, and they don't have ownership of that shop.
Right. So again, I always like to stay in the lane of, again, the customer service. We kind of talked about it earlier. We mentioned about stressing to them the understanding the importance of, their actions even away from the shop, in the shop, how those things fall back into, reflects on the shop as a whole. Really a lot of it is just through giving them personal stories and personal experiences from, being in the shop. But letting them, I think that's also a thing that I've noticed, and as you was talking, I was thinking about myself as well, like where I see a difference depends on what kind of prior experience the student had coming to school. So if they already been cutting hair, already got clients, they already kind of hard to deal with even in school, so they're gonna probably be a piece of work when they get into the shop as well, versus with somebody just coming in there totally green. They're more, that's why as instructors, we always say, like, really honestly, our favorite students are really ones that are totally green, because they're a blank canvas. So they're gonna be a little more humble with things, because they're still learning, they're still feeding. But one thing I like to stress to students, I like to use the analogy of sports. A lot of us in this game is either former athletes of some sort at one point in our lives, either in high school, college, or whatever. So I always like to use a sports analogy, that how as they're coming from bootlegging in the house, and you get into, that'd be high school. Then you coming into college, that's gonna be barber school. That's gonna be still something to learn. And what do the athletes usually say from high school to college? Or the game got faster, a little more tougher. So the same thing happens when you leave from college to the pros. The game's gonna get faster, it's gonna get tougher, right? So there's things you're gonna learn. So I try to keep it in that perspective, letting them understand that there's still gonna be things you're gonna have to learn. And trying to do it from that space, and then understanding that you can still be an entrepreneur, but I used to like to use the term from corporate America, where they call it intrapreneur, where you're an internal entrepreneur.
That's right.
You can still be your own boss, right? And I like to share the story of when I was probably maybe 3 to 5 years in. Then I went and got my own license. I got my little space licensed, right? So it kind of gave me that boss feeling, because I really only did it because I wanted to get discounts on supplies. But that's when I learned about I could get my own business license from my one station. So that kept me still, because I stayed in my shop for 10 years before I did my own shop.
Okay.
But I felt like a boss because I had already got my 1 chair license, right? So I had head to toe mail coming into the shop after my manager's approval. But I would say the thing is, we try to, it's kind of a little tricky question because it's going to be an individual thing, but it's just letting them understand that there's still levels to this game, that
there's always more room
there's
to
more
learn
room
and
to
grow.
learn, right? And always remain a student. I always tell that to students. I still feel like I'm a student. I tell them I'm learning from y'all sometimes.
That's right.
You know, different tools or different things of that nature. So you remain a student, that's one, and always don't forget you used to be a customer.
Okay. Right. Let's shift gears a little bit. Right. Let's look at the role of the barbershop in the community. Right.
Love it.
And when I think about the role, per this podcast, the Barbershop Therapy, when a person sits down in a barber's chair and they say, hey, how are you doing today? That's building trust, that's building relationship, that's building a space where they feel heard. When you look at the younger barbers coming in, are they really understanding how strong their platform is?
No, they don't.
I
would take that back. Well, I'll say no, yes and no. And when I say yes and no, it depends on what kind of prior experience they have coming there.
Okay.
So, meaning that if you have a relative that's been in the industry. So obviously for people that have
influence that
they have seen it. Or if they had a good mentor like yourself, like, when somebody, like how Mr. Marcus, we talked about earlier off camera, about how he had a mentor like you that bring him to school. So it depends what kind of prior experience they got there. But majority of the time, most students don't really, because we have a tendency to make what we do look
easy. Yeah.
And that's the reason why we titled our podcast Underrated, because we feel like our profession is underrated.
Oh wait, you got a podcast too? Man, how many hats is that? 17. You Jamaican? Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So, but we feel like our industry is underrated because because we make what we do look effortless, but there is an art to it that what everybody loves, but there's a science to it and a math to it.
That's right.
Right? What we doing, and the math can go multiple ways of understanding how your hair falls and to be able to affect the layers in the haircut and how you hold your clippers and all that fun stuff. The math of the business side of it, how to manage your money, right? Because we ain't getting into financial literacy, but
that's right.
And how to manage your money, and then the science is knowing what chemicals to use. If you use the wrong products in somebody's hair, you can't get whatever particular finished look you're going for if you don't know what you're using.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. But see, these are all the things that's so beautiful about what we do that we sometimes we actually underrate ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I jokingly say it all the time. I'm only a barber.
I'm only a barber, right?
But the reality of it is, this 30 years behind this chair has given me something that a lot of CEOs, a lot of PhDs, a lot of master's degree students is life experience. And this life experience gives us something to our clients that they come to us and they trust us. How many times have you had a person say, hey man, this person, a good plumber, a good electrician.
Right. We know them all.
It's the crossroads where every profession comes through that barbershop. Yeah. And so with that life experience also comes a level of trust because they coming to us before they go to Google.
There's a really cool video that I usually share with my students, and we watch it. And it was actually, believe it or not, of all places, it was a TED Talk conversation. It was a young man who was a barber, and he was telling the story about one of his clients, and basically what he was sharing the story about how when his regular clients came in, said it was just a regular routine haircut. He was thinking nothing of it, but when the customer went and paid him, he told him thank you, and he said, for what? He said, I was getting ready to commit suicide. He was like, but I felt heard. And he said, I've been struggling up to this point of not feeling like I was heard or thought of, and that time, it just so happened that when he got there that morning, it was just them two there, and they had that, that moment, that opportunity to really kind of talk. But he was saying he said he was just having a regular conversation, but it was, and of course, now the more of that story, it inspired that barber to go get some further training, understanding mental health and things of that nature. But I would like to share that with students because I'm not trying to make y'all become therapists, right? But be sensitive and be mindful of the kind of power influence that we do have. And I know for myself that started out right out of high school, I took it for granted for a long time. But I look back at some things, scenarios and situations that made me, when I saw that, it made me reflect like, damn, you know, there was probably some people that I might not even know that we probably did something when we saved their life and didn't even know. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
Hence, Barbershop Therapy. We cut through the problems. And this is a sponsor's moment.
In the building, in the building.
No, but that is very factual, because that leads us into, you know, that part of relationship building, that part of trust, where that person felt hurt enough that they wanted to give themselves another opportunity at life.
Yeah.
Because that 30-minute to an hour time frame brought things back into perspective.
And to confirm that, I did some research, looked around, just Googled, you know, some years back, and I came across an article in the Psychology Today. And they talked about, I'll send it to you.
Please
It was an article today, it was the Psychology Today, and they talked about, the title was something to the fact that like the least expensive or the cheapest therapy available. And they said the barbershop and the salon were like the cheapest therapies you can get for the cost of your service.
And the bar.
And of course the bar, right? Shout out to our location as well.
Dram and drop.
Down in the building. But so he was in the article, it broke down kind of the reason, their theory behind it. And it was just something that I remember was like the chair is, because they're sitting in a comfortable chair.
Similar.
They have the back against, you know, they have their back, most of the time, especially in barbering, their back is towards us. So they just feel comfortable talking because it's just y'all two, and you know, the environment and confidentiality and all that fun stuff, I guess.
It's the most comparable space to going and sitting in therapy.
How many times you had somebody sit in the chair and be like, man, I don't know why I sit in the chair and I wanted to tell all my business, man?
Every day.
Right?
I mean, literally every day, because once you build that space and that comfort, then you become almost like a family member. You know more about some clients than their spouses or their children know about. And so that's an opportunity, men and women alike, and the kids that come in the barbershop, you know, they feel comfortable because you turn into that uncle, that big cousin, that mentor, or possibly that father figure if they don't have it there. So that leads us right into our next portion of this, you know. Talking about the change of barbershops over the years.
That's a tough one.
You've seen open concept barbershops.
Yep.
You've seen suites.
Yep.
How do you feel like the suites have helped the barber industry, and how do you feel like it's possibly hurt the barber industry?
All right, well, we already probably know why it hurts it, but I do want to say I feel like our 30 years, and I know every generation going to be biased, but I feel like our 30 years were the best 30 years of barbering. Because we saw a lot of transition from the old school. We was fortunate to catch it, where we still got a lot of that old cloth from, you know, your instructor. That kind of influence to, because I always like to use the analogy, that's when the Martin Lawrence show comes on, you know, and now his fade, standards for fade standards went up, you know what I mean? So we got a chance to see this whole thing pivot, right? And so to answer your question, when I say that, so with that being said, even though I am in the suite now, and I've been in the suite for a while now, but to me, the suite has always been the thought of like you're semi-retired. That's how I always thought of a suite. You know, when I did it, because I'm teaching and I'm not really in the, I'm not in the shop full time. I just need somewhere to, you know, to take care of my clients and stuff like that. So that's why I do a suite, because I consider myself semi-retired from cutting full time, right? I'm cutting part time. So I come from a time where if you was getting a suite, that's letting your clients and let's let the industry know that you're kind of phasing out. Where now it has become an option, because we in the time now where everything is instant. And I don't want to come off like a hater. I respect every generation.
Go ahead. It's fine. It's fine.
I respect every generation. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But you know, so with that being said, like now is no one, you know, because we in the Instagram world, we in everything instant, right? So it's affecting even into the shop now, because where you have it where they want to instantly become a boss, they want to instantly own their own shop. Where, you know, I still say that I was glad I waited 10 years before I did my first shop. my manager actually pushed me out. He was the one that told me to go. He was like, man, you doing this massage and them nails, man, you can't, man, just go spread your wings. You're trying to move on. And I'm glad I did, but the things that I picked up along the way up to the 10 years, like you said earlier, now I started, because your best teaching from owning the shop is going to be coming from standing behind that chair. So you watching what you like and you don't like.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
What you would do and what you wouldn't do.
You put your own spin.
You put your own spin to it.
That's right.
So then when I did have my shop, when stuff was to happen where I needed a plumber or I needed this and that, I called the property manager, but I already knew some people from the barbershop. From the barbershop. What was that?
There you go, that network.
So I already built the network up. So it's a lot of valuable lessons and networking that happens. So I always encourage our students to stand behind the chair as long as you can, because that's a lot of great, learning.
It's a lot of responsibility.
A lot of responsibility
once you
comes on your own.
An owner versus an employee. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna shift it one more time.
I say it's hurting the industry in a way for it's making people jump. So I know you got to move on, but it hurts the industry for the simple fact that it's causing people to jump sooner than they really are ready to.
Okay.
Jump. Yeah.
So we ain't gonna jump too far from that.
Okay.
When you talk about social media, when you talk about barbers on Instagram and how that influences what we're doing today, I'm a hater because it to me, you have some great influencers out there.
Yeah.
But then when you have the influencers that when you're watching them cut hair, every other word in their video is a cuss word off a rap song, or even from the barber themselves, their language is tearing up the professions for me.
It is.
Because and it might be that's not where I'm from.
Right. We come from a different cloth, though.
We come from a different space because one, we didn't start in the Instagram phase, and we didn't come with controversial stuff to make our haircuts look good.
Right.
We came from the art of learning the tools of cutting hair and the skill set to our heads are our advertising, not what we say on Instagram or what we say on Facebook, and how we present this production of. Now, it's some great barbers out there.
Great barbers.
Shout out to all these cats out here that's got the courage
they
to get
doing
out
some
there.
things I wouldn't even imagine doing.
Never imagined, right?
Yeah.
But the presentation at times takes away from their skill set because I can't watch your whole video with my child that I want to show some things that I might not know as a master barber myself, or another mentor that wants to learn something from me because, man, you had great technique on here. You did something amazing, but I can't get past all of the cursing and all of the music and all of the distractions from your skill. What you think about that?
Yeah, I think, the technology, it's a gift and curse with it, right? We use, obviously doing the podcast, we got to do the podcast, stuff like that. I think that it gives them, it's giving them a lane. I'm trying to figure out a way, put it that way.
Don't be delicate with it. Go say what you gonna say. They do it.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of, in my opinion, there's a lot of different factors to it, right? Different layers to it. One, we come from a different generation and different mindset when it comes to the barbershop, where I have a totally different, I would put it this way, like I didn't believe in dare calling myself a master barber until I had 10 years or better.
Okay.
Like that used to be my mindset. Like anybody said that you're a master barber, like unless you got a decade, the barbers I came up, McCoy, Mr. McCoy, and all the rest of them, I wouldn't dare call myself a master barber in front of them.
That's right.
And I ain't put no time in. You see what I'm saying?
Mr.
So
McCoy will tell you,
what?
I think you need to slow down with that, baby, because you
need to relax.
You need to relax.
You need to relax on that
right now.
So I come from a different, you know what I mean? And yeah, we had the hood, you had the hood shops or whatever shops, whatever. But you still, even when we came up, you still respected like when kids came in, when a lady came in, any of the females come in, you watch your language. When kids come, you watch your language. Older gentlemen come in, you watch your language.
That's right.
Now if they was cussing, that's one thing, but we weren't going to cuss, right?
And
but those are foundational things that was not a big deal. You just knew you had to do that.
We still will correct the older gentlemen if they were out of pocket, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We still running a business here.
Right.
I appreciate you, your colorful language, but
right.
It's a way to reel people in.
But because people are jumping out because barbers are jumping out and stylists are jumping out sooner to get and not getting that
Customer
in-shop
service
experience and really get experience before they do on their own. They really ain't really been really groomed themselves, so they just going doing what they would have done if they would have been in the shop.
Okay. So with that being said,
did I answer your question?
You did. Thank you for that. Hustle or profession?
Both.
Because
you got to hustle in order. You know, it's. I think the hustle gets a bad. This is my opinion. I feel like hustle, how it's used, can get put into saying it's a bad word, but really you have to hustle.
Okay. So
right?
When
you have to hustle, and you know what I mean. But and that was just another way of saying. At least I try to. That's how I try to translate to my students in a good term. Good frame,
okay.
Yeah.
So when I came out of school,
but barbering is not a hustle. It's a profession.
It was my hustle to get to the profession, right? When I came out of school, I didn't have a large clientele.
Right.
So I worked a full-time job, and I cut hair in the evening times until my evening time income surpassed my full-time employment.
Right.
Now it shifted from the hustle of getting to the profession for me. And like I see a lot of guys that still will work a full-time job and then come back to the barbershop as the part-time hustle.
Right.
And it hurts the business for me when you have guys, like if you have shop hours as an owner, we have shop hours from 7 to 7 or 8 to 8, whatever the time frame. But then you got the guys that, well, I got a full-time job at 5 o'clock and I want to cut to 8 to 10.
Right.
But then the days that they don't feel like coming in, you got people knocking at the door
and you're not
from
there.
8 to 10 and nobody's there.
Nobody there.
So what does that do to your reputation of your business?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I look at the hustle of it, and I wish more young men would take that approach of making it understand the profession, the customer service, the consistency, the ability to deal with clients on a high level versus, call me and I'll get you.
Right.
You know, because then that expectations get pushed off on other barbers. And when those other barbers, I've been called the bougie barber.
Right.
Oh, you do appointments.
Yeah, you fancy.
You fancy and stuff.
I do the same. I do everything by appointment. They be like, oh, you fancy.
And that, yes, ma'am, I am fancy.
Yeah.
If that is what you,
I put the time in for it.
You know, so I've been doing this for 30 years, and I value my time. You're not just getting a haircut with me now. You're getting an experience, and you're getting a time slot that you're paying for it.
Right.
And you're paying for my time, and I'm giving you my time for that pay.
Right, but that's what we're teaching them as well, right? That there's different. That's the beauty of this craft. There's so many directions you can go in it. There is no one way, right? There's no one way is the right way. Like I tell our students, there's more than one way to do a haircut. I would say it's more than one way around Raleigh. I use that as an analogy. There's more than one way around Raleigh. There's no one way matters, right? We're just trying to give you, it's the way I do it, but you may find a different way to get you there. But I think that's the other thing is that that you don't have, because we in an instant gratification era and time, a lot of that, stuff that we come up under, that's kind of
the consistency is no longer there.
And we loved it. Like I was a shop rat. I loved being in the shop. You didn't have to tell me to be at the shop.
Working with Jones taught me consistency.
Yeah.
They opened up at 7 o'clock and closed at 6. I was there at 6:30 that morning, waiting to get in that first year of my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And so that built that in me. If you're there,
and then you feel good when you got that key.
Man,
boy, you couldn't tell me that. That's what you talking about, a milestone. When you got that key, you got that key
first time, and you be begging the owner, like, "Yo, when I'm gonna get the key? When I get my master barber license, can I get the key?"
When I got that key,
and you turn the key, and it's just like it brings out something in you of confidence that I have made it to the next level of my barber career.
Yep.
But then you have to get that key to your own lease.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, now, those fellas that have that key, that come in and kill your shop. I call them
shop killers. Them shop killers. When they start trying to count your, they trying to count your
start
chairs.
trying to count your chairs,
Count your chairs, count your
money.
pocket.
Well, your card's in the front. Why my
Right.
cards ain't in the front?
Right.
I'm gonna give you a story, man.
Right.
I went and bought flyers. I bought 1,000 flyers. I said, hey, everybody got 500 flyers. We're gonna see. Can we get? I want everybody to take 250 flyers and put them out in the community. Take them wherever you want to. Just take an hour out your day.
Right.
You know, that would just be consistent with it.
That's what you used to do for you.
That's what I bought.
A good shop, man.
You know what I'm saying? We used to have team meetings. Hey, anybody got gripes? What's going on? But it would turn into complaining.
Oh.
It wouldn't turn into positive and solution-based conversation. So with that card incident, I had a employee. I'm calling him employee because he was not a good teammate.
Oh yeah.
But he would staple his cards to the flyers and put them in front of the barbershop because we had a mantle. You know how we had a mantle around there?
Yeah.
He would put them in front of the mantle, in front of everybody's car. I mean, brother, if they're in here, if they're coming into the shop and they pick up this flyer, they're already in the shop.
Right. Like what's the
What we're trying to bring more people in and like understand that people just don't have the concept of what business looks like at times.
right.
And just to see people do things to cause turmoil in the shop. And when you recognize that as a new shop owner, I didn't know what to do with it, right?
Right.
As an old shop owner, you got to cut that off at the head.
Right.
You got as soon as you recognize that in a person, you got to get rid of that out of your shop because you're going to kill the morale, the atmosphere, and what you've so quietly tried to put together for your clients. They kill the atmosphere for you. You know, have you experienced that?
Yes, I have experienced it. I've seen it from both. I experienced it obviously from the shop perspective, but also seen it from an inspector perspective.
Okay.
You know, there's times that I've gone and opened up shops that I could clearly tell they're not really ready to open the shop up, but they got mad because, and I leave them nameless. I leave the shop nameless, but I've heard this before where they got mad because they felt like the owner wasn't showing enough love and then you could at least bring some donuts on Saturday.
That's not my job.
I'm trying to make some baby.
But
anyway, they get mad, so they want to go they go up the street and open their own shop. And then usually what wind up happening when I come back around again to come inspect their shop, guess where they back at?
Their shop
they left from.
The one they left from.
You know, but everybody wants to, be the boss, but don't want to put the work in.
Because it takes understanding a business side of that.
I can tell you what happens. They start doing their own math, right? So they start looking like, oh, I'm paying this much a week. You paying that? Because I've actually been in situations where, when I left the shop, closed my shop down, I relocated, went to Atlanta, came back. So then I got a chance to just to be just a barber again, right? And I've sat in those situations where I had the barber. Oh,
Thank
you, sir. Man, thank you, sir.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And so I've been in a situation where I've had that barber that you're talking about, the killer and chop it was just funny to me, but they would come to me and was like, hey man, now you paying this much a week, I'm paying this much a week.
He make this amount off all of us.
Now I got my peoples finding the spot, man. We mess around and put our stuff together. We can go ahead and do our own thing, you know what I'm saying? You with me? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Causing problems, causing dissension among, and trying to plot against the owner, which has provided a space for you to work.
Yep. But again, I come from a different generation, a different mindset of where I've honored the managers or I honored the shop. So to me, it was never, you know what I mean? I would never try to be decisive like that, but then.
Okay. Well, look, we have touched on a lot of things and a lot more that we can.
We got to continue this on our, we got to continue this conversation again.
Yeah, so
you come to my podcast, I come back here again.
Well, let's shoot that back on you next time.
All right.
We're gonna wrap this thing up, but I love for you to tell everybody where you can be reached and tell them a little bit more about the Underrated Profession podcast.
Okay, well, the Underrated Profession podcast is just what it is. It's actually a barber college podcast. right? So we, and our slogan is that we inform, educate, and celebrate the profession. And when we say inform, we're saying informing meaning that, you know, we're not trying to replace your barber school. We're not trying to replace your hair school or wherever you're attending or programs. We're just trying to look at it as being an additional source or resource for, you know, getting some of the latest, you know, information that's out there to help you become a better barber or a stylist. Right?
Man, that's pretty amazing.
So, you know, we say, like I said, we say inform. We mean keeping like moments like this, meaning having the barbershop therapy. We say educate, same thing. Then celebrating, because again, we know our professions sometimes get overlooked. Like I can't stand when somebody say, "Oh, you just cut hair?"
Yep.
I just cut hair. I just want to have a pair of shears or a pair of clippers.
You try.
You try. Right? You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole purpose of it. And to help keep, you know, students, those apprentices, those, you know, those early on, you know, entrepreneurs, because we are entrepreneurs, we're just as barbers in training. And so it's just being a place for them to be able to hear some of those same stories and trials and worse haircuts and worse shave moments, and to help keep them encouraged. So that's the whole purpose of it.
Tell me before you leave, your class has taken the barbershop therapy training that we provide, the 2-hour training. How has that impacted how your students and how you as a director operate, understanding how we can impact mental health?
Well, it was definitely one that it definitely continued to, it took our program or added to our program uniqueness and to the next level at having that certification or that experience of barbershop therapy. Now the bad thing, I didn't get a chance to use my pen because nobody came with no OD. But you taught us, you know, it was very eye-opening for our students. Again, I try to, you know, I have this saying, I try to teach them outside of the, you know, teach them things outside of the book, because we know at the end of the day there's, as we mentioned earlier, but you know, the mental health, things of that nature that goes on. So it was a great addition to help validate our program, you know, and it gave them, again, I felt it helped prepare them even more getting out to the shop, you know, understanding, being sensitive and being aware of what could possibly, you know, what they could be encountering when they get out. So I thank you for that as well. I hope we can still continue.
Absolutely,
that relationship.
Yes, sir.
And so, but it's been a big bonus for our program. So I appreciate that, man.
Well, Mr. Graham, I want to thank you.
Yes, sir. And I guess I get my handles.
Okay,
it's the underratedprofession.com. I guess that's where, you know, you can check us out there. As well as you want to find us on Instagram, it's _ rated. Hold on. I guess old fashioned kicking in. _ underrated _ where you can find us at on Instagram. Also, you want to look me up on Instagram as well as _ barber _ pro. And check us out.
Hey,
you know,
man,
we still growing. We on YouTube as well. The Underrated Profession, a Barber College podcast. We on there as well. So
this is amazing, man, because for us, one thing that as the barber industry, we have to start working together more.
Yeah.
And stop gatekeeping.
Yeah.
In this space.
Yeah.
So I wanted to toast,
hey,
you know, barbershop therapy,
yes,
to the underrated profession. We appreciate your time.
Man, thank you, sir. And I know we got many more to continue. We got more to talk about as well.
We will do this again because, you know, me and you can talk for hours. So we have finished an awesome edition of Barbershop Therapy. I am your host with my special guest, Mr. William Graham, director, board member, podcaster, master barber.
I'm a barber. I just cut hair.
He's just a barber.
I'm just a barber.
He's just underrated. But thank y'all for being a part of. Please subscribe, comment, and if you feel like there's some things that you want to get off your chest, hey, let us know. Put them in the comments, and we can absolutely come and and make you a part of this thing. Again, this is Barbershop Therapy, and we cut through the problems. Good, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.